Alright, what's up guys? Today I'm coming to you to talk about all the game shows that have been going on. We've had a bunch of them. This is kind of that E3 time, but E3's gone, so Summer Games Fest, whatever else you want to call it. But this is that new time with lots of shows, lots of announcements, and it's really fun, it's really cool. I know this is a bit late, like these shows came out a while, but this is what I have. So what that has allowed me to do is kind of mull over these shows, watch them again, listen to what other people have said, and really formulate my own thoughts. And so hopefully that will mean I'm bringing you guys something a little more unique and interesting with takes that I've taken time to sit on. If you're looking for the PlayStation or Marvelous Showcase, remember I have done those already. Those will be linked below the like button, so check those out if you're interested. Now we're starting off with the first one that is put in this time, but really it's called Best Indie Game Showcase, and this is put on by Clemmy Games. Best Indie Games, I think, is his channel. He's got a great channel. He talks about indie games all the time, and he does a great show. Basically, it's just trailers of games he's seen throughout the year, that developers have sent him, whatever, and it's really good. I don't know if he's got a team or it's just him, but it's done really well. But there's so many. It's like 3 hours of games, like insane amount. So I'm not gonna really dive too much into that other than to try and highlight some. I took off like a bunch that were like borderline for me, or that I thought were cool but maybe not like my favorite, and I still ended up with a whole bunch. So I'm just gonna kind of hit these and show you quick bits of the trailers, and then if you're interested you can look them up on your own. It's just too much to spend time on. So real quick, we got Guardian Tactics. Really cool looking game. I'm excited about that one. Phelan, there's gonna be lots of Metroidvania style, like 2D RPG games, because one, that fits really well for indie spaces, but also that's Clemmy likes those a lot. So Phelan is one of those. I think it looks really cool and interesting. I'm a little bit worried it might be too slow for me, but otherwise cool. Anima, Song from the Abyss, really cool anime action RPG. Infinity Knights Cross. Dude, this is definitely one to watch. If you guys haven't seen this one before, like this looks like an old school Final Fantasy, old school Chrono Trigger, really cool looking. I'm excited about this one. The Devil Within Satgat, I mean, guys, just look at it. It's freaking awesome. Dark Deity 2, I played the first one, though I never quite finished it for some reason. I really enjoyed it, so that I don't know why. I can't remember why I fell off it, but it makes me think I gotta find some way to get back into it, because this looks awesome. I really enjoyed what I played of the first, and it's a direct continuation, so the characters in the first one have gotten older and are in this one, which is cool. Skyguard Arena looks awesome. It's a tactics game, which I love, and this has a really cool, unique look to it with lots of different characters and stuff. I think it looks really cool. Alzara, I don't know how you say it, Radiant Echoes. This has actually been kind of making some news, making some noise on socials. I've been seeing it kind of everywhere. So definitely looks pretty cool. If you're interested in that, it's like a, I don't know, cartoony 3D, like, I think it looks turn-based RPG. I don't know, it looks really good. Almost looks like my kids' shows, like, what was it? Elena of Avalor, if you got kids, you've seen that. Very much that kind of vibe. Obsidian Legion is a dark fantasy action RPG 2D side-scroller, and it looks super cool. I really like the way this looks. I think there's some real promise there, so definitely check that one out. And then Shrine's Legacy is like, think Illusion of Gaia. If you grew up on that, it's like a SNES style action RPG in that pixel form. I'm really interested in that. I think it looks really cool. I loved Illusion of Gaia growing up, and so this is kind of right up my street. All right, and that was Best Indie Game Showcase. Again, there's a ton. It's on his channel, so if you're interested, go watch it. He's got so many good games of all different kinds, but really good stuff, so definitely recommend checking him out. After that was OTK Game Expo. This is put on by Asmongold and his team, which they started back in 2022. This is their third year. It's a cool idea, and I certainly wish them the best, but it definitely has that kind of amateur feel to it. They didn't transition very well. It felt very slow, and it was kind of rough, to be honest. I only came away with one game that I cared about myself, which that's not, when you have a presenter, that's not their fault, right? You have to have games that want to be at that show, that put it on and whatever. But Still, it's the only one out of the 30 plus games that they put on that I thought was any good, and the show itself was super boring. So hopefully they keep going though and kind of get better and better, but not really my thing. Bridgeborn was the game. So really cool looking, kind of almost Hades-esque action RPG, very cool style, very unique. It's got a little bit of a drawn out, not quite isometric, really interesting. I think it could be cool. So yeah, check that one out. After OTK was the Guerrilla Collective. Now, I had to look this up because I had no idea who this was from, but it's brought by Mix, which is a group comprised of indie developers and some like gaming enthusiasts that tried to bring developers and publishers together and use showcases and events to do that. This was a bit odd. They had some streamer guy that was doing the hosting, and he was super stiff and like trying to present well, but it just came across like he was reading a projector, which he probably was, I don't know. But it was kind of tough to watch, to be honest. They did show some cool games, but a lot of them are in other showcases. So there's only 2 that I came around with, but they also are ones that we've known about before. And that's kind of the theme of a lot of showcases this year, minus one, which we'll get to. But a lot of stuff that we already knew about. And so for the Guerrilla Collective, what I came with was Deathbound, which is a Souls-like action RPG with a cool kind of team mechanic where you have like 3 people and are switching them in and out like on the fly, but it's almost like they replace you, right? It's like you're switching who you're playing, but they just take over your spot. Really interesting mechanic for this style of game, but it looks pretty cool. Second one was Knights in Tight Spaces, and I love the look of this. It's very unique. It's like strong, oversaturated color where like one team's red, one team's blue or green or something like that, right? But you can it's a tactics-based game, and you can, try to time things, so you dodge and push them into the way of their other guy's attack, or you kick them and your other guy's waiting to attack, and so you kick him into his thrust, or you push him into someone's kick and they go flying off the ship or whatever. I don't know. It could be not great, but it looks really interesting and really cool, and so definitely interested in that one. Okay, now we're getting to Summer Games Fest. Now, Jeff started off the show by making a comment about the industry. He started off by talking about the 10 best-selling games this year, and how 8 of those 10 were made by either solo developers or smaller development teams. And then kind of use that to say, hey, big companies, you need to value your employees because look what they can do on their own. They don't need you like they used to. And I know some people might kind of balk at that line of thinking, but I actually think it was really smart. I think that he challenged companies in a way that will make sense to them. Because let's be real, there's no conscience in a CEO or in a big company. Because it's a group of people making number-based decisions, not people-based decisions. But if you talk about their wallet, their pocketbook, or hey, how you will miss out, you will not be able to make games, people will not come to work for you, and you will lose that money that you worked so hard to build because they can make games on their own and make lots of money doing that, right? And so I think that was a very intelligent way to say something. I was very proud of him. I thought he did a good job on that. That was well done. Now, as far as the show goes, look, Keighley warned everyone to temper your expectations, and I think he was on. Not that it was bad show, but there wasn't a lot of new stuff to get into. He didn't have a lot of big heavy hitters to show off, and so it wasn't going to hit the way that we would hope. He still had a lot of good games there. There's a lot of games in there I'm interested in, a lot of games I want to play, but they're not new. They're not, a world premiere here. And so it didn't have the same impact it could have, but I still think he had a pretty decent show. The first game he brought out was maybe the biggest news. It actually did that in a little subtle way, kind of. It was Lego Horizon, which isn't a massive deal on its own, though it does look pretty good for a Lego game. I'm not super into those myself, but my kids play them, and I like that Horizon will be available for younger audiences because I don't necessarily want them playing the full games all the time. They're younger kids, and so having a game like this, a Lego game that will be lighter in tone and give them a game that's easier, because the Horizon games are pretty tough for younger kids. I think that's awesome. That's a good thing. But where the big news came from is that it wasn't just coming to PS5. It's going to Switch as well. That's a big deal. As far as I know, this is the first PlayStation-owned IP to go to Switch like that. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. That opens the door for Aloy to be in Smash Brothers. That opens the door for the Switch 2 to get some Sony exclusives, which I know a lot of people will not be happy about, but I still think that it could be interesting to watch. It's news. It's big news, and we'll see what happens. After that, they also had like a Quidditch game, which me and my kids will probably play, but they didn't show a speck of gameplay, so that also is kind of going to be the theme of several shows, but whatever. They brought out Star Wars Outlaws, but we'll talk about that more later when we get to Ubisoft show, because they did way deeper dive into it, so we'll get to it there. They showed Metaphor. We already know about Metaphor, of course, but they did show off like the 40 classes or so, obviously not all of them, but they have a bunch of these archetypes that are the class system, and I'm already 100% sold on this game. I didn't need this trailer to get me more excited. Like, this is probably, I mean, now there's some good stuff, so it's hard. This is probably my #1 most anticipated game. I'm very, very excited for it. So it looks great. It's cool it was on a show, but didn't need it, really. Next up was Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Now, I haven't played these games, but they look really good. This was already announced as well, but they showed a lot more of it. They showed the new engine. They showed the new graphical quality. It's a huge upgrade from the first game. I think it looks really good, and yeah. The next game was Unknown 9 Awakening. This looks pretty cool, I thought. The powers are really unique and different. The story piqued my interest a little bit, but again, we only got like 3 seconds of gameplay, so you don't really know what it looks like to play this game, and I'm not necessarily sold yet, but I'll definitely be watching it. I think it has some promise for sure. All right, next up, I'm just kind of throwing this in there. I'm like low-key excited for the first Descendants. It's a third-person shooter, free-to-play game, so like I probably either won't play it or only play it a little bit, but I just think it looks cool, and the grappling hook and the movement traversal stuff looks really fun. So yeah, I don't know, kind of cool. Hyperlight Breaker. Now, this is the Hyperlight Drifter team, and they know how to put games out. They put out bangers. And this looks to be just kind of the newest form of that, newest form of their innovative ideas. Definitely one to watch. I think Breaker's going to be fire. So, definitely keep your eye on that one. After that, we have Monster Hunter Wilds. Now, again, this has already been announced. They showed more of this game. Everything about Wilds looks awesome. Since World, Monster Hunter can do no wrong. I mean, Capcom is on fire. We just kind of forget about that weird, I don't even remember what it was called, dinosaur falling shooter game. Forget about that. But everything else they put out is awesome, and this looks really good. They switch in weapons and stuff. I mean, really, really cool. Definitely going to be awesome. And then they ended the show with Phantom Blade Zero. Now, this we've thought was a Souls-like, but it turns out this is actually more Devil May Cry, Ninja Gaiden, with some little bit of Souls influence. Not that it's a Souls game, but just that they like Dark Souls, and so they've taken like the depth of combat from the enemies and that kind of thing. Not what we thought, and if I'm honest, I'm maybe a little bit less interested in that, just because straight action games aren't usually my thing. I tend to get bored. That said, I think Phantom Blade Zero looks pretty cool. The moves look really awesome. The character looks cool. The setting looks good. It's a cool way to end, but again, we did already know about this game. However, this showed a bunch of gameplay. So pretty cool, though not knock your socks off. And that's the show. It wasn't terrible, but not amazing either. After that, we're going to get to the Future Game Show. And Future Game Show, I really love. They put voice actors out to kind of do the transitions and stuff, and they're always super cheesy and ridiculous, but I just find them fun and endearing. I really like it. They do a lot of indie games, a lot of cool stuff. I walked away from this one with 4 games, but I still, for me, and real quick, I just think this is something about showcases that we kind of gotta work through. it seems like online that for people to like a showcase, it needs to have 20 out of 25 games that they love and want to play. To me, if I get 2 games, even sometimes one really good one, I'm pretty happy, right? I don't need 100 games. I don't have time for 100 games. I don't have time for all the games I want to play now. So a few games in a showcase is plenty. I'm happy with that. That's a good show to me. So 4 games at a future game show that I am legitimately excited about and happy that we're there and I'm really hoping to play is perfect. I just think we need to have an understanding that a good show should have something for a lot of different people, which means that I won't necessarily like all of those games because I tend to like this stuff over here, someone else likes this stuff over here, and if they have both of those, that's a win. That's a good thing. Anyway, let's go on a future game show. The first game that showed up was the Relic First Guardian. This is a super awesome looking Soulsy game with phenomenal looking armor for your character, awesome moves and abilities, outstanding bosses. It looks right up my alley. I'm super stoked for this one. This is the first time I've seen it. I don't know if it was announced before. I had not seen it before this, and I am stoked. This game looks awesome. After that is Sacrifire. Now, this is one I've known about. I even have an old video on the channel, and I'll link it below for you, but the truth is that's like a year ago, and this game has changed a bit since then, but it still has the general idea. If you're interested, you can go watch that. But this is an interesting mix of genres. It's the pixel art, which looks incredible. They use like a 2-world mechanic, and the combat is actually kind of remarkably unique. It's very different in a space where there's usually just small innovations. So I'm really interested to see if that works, but it definitely has my eye and I'm very hopeful for this. Next up is Mandragora. This is a dark fantasy action RPG, side scroller, 2D stuff, but dude, look at the animations, look at the characters. Oh man, dude, Mandragora looks so good. This has been cooking for a long time, because originally I thought it was releasing in like late 2022, early 2023, and it has been kind of pushed away and gone down the line, but it looks incredible. I am very excited for this one. It's a Metroidvania and dark and gritty, but awesome design. Honestly, I think this one's gonna blow people away. Super cool. And the last one is Eternal Strands. Now, this is essentially Immortals Phoenix Rising meets Shadow of the Colossus. It's super vibrant. The colors really pop. It's visually arresting. Not just the colors, but the contrast and the movement abilities. I mean, just really, really incredible stuff. The enemies, not all of them, but they tend to be massive. Like, that's that Shadow of Colossus vibe. The movesets and the enemies all look awesome. This is a new development studio, Yellow Brick Studios, I believe they're called. And it's made up of ex-devs out of Ubisoft. I think this could really be a breakout hit, so I would definitely keep my eyes peeled for this one. All right, after that is the Xbox Showcase. Now, this was a banger, but I think it's worth talking a little bit more in depth than what I see a lot of people doing. So before I go into the stuff I really liked, let's just kind of dig into some of that. You see, for me, Indiana Jones holds no appeal. And that's kind of a bummer because I grew up watching indie, but I don't like first person and I don't like the way this looks. I don't think the tone kind of matches the IP, but like, I don't know. I'm a little bit shocked, frankly, at what I've seen, all the people loving it. I just don't think it looks very good, and so I'm happy for people that you are. No judgment if you like it, but I don't understand it. The visuals really, they look odd. They look stiff. The animations look rough. I don't know. Not good. That said, Troy Baker absolutely kills the indie voice.
I can't let this go. It could be the best kept secret in history.
Super, super good. That one, which is like many others, is slated for 2024. No release date, even though it's in 6 months time frame, but 2024. And you will see that a lot in this show. The console reveals towards the end were kind of a joke. Like, They're just extra space. There's nothing new about them. There's nothing unique, just extra memory. Okay, fine. Whatever. You know, the executives coming on and speaking, I think that was probably the right move, but I can always do with less of that. That said, very little gameplay in this showcase. A lot of people were saying that there was a ton, and I was like, I went back and rewatched it. There's not. There's a few games that got a really good snippet, but a lot of them have little to none. So we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, they had a few other ones in this showcase. Like there was this hero shooter. I think the art looked really cool for that one, but like I don't do hero shooters. They're lame to me, so that's not my deal. There was like this game called Mixtape, and no appeal to me. I think some people will love that. I definitely has had some buzz after the show, but I don't care. And Life is Strange. I don't understand why people love it. I mean, if you do, great. You got a new one. I know some people were really excited because they loved the first game, not so much the ones after, and this goes back to that main protagonist. So if that's you, great. You get a sequel. I don't care. Just don't care. That said, they did have some really cool stuff that I am interested in and that I do think looks good. Let's get into it. First up was Doom: The Dark Ages. And if there wasn't for one other game that we'll talk about here in a little bit, this would have absolutely stolen the show for me. Remember that I don't play first-person shooters. I'm not really into non-RPG games most of the time. I haven't played Doom since the very first one way back, and I played it on PC. But holy crap, this game looks incredible. It was visceral and jam-packed with cool moves and super awesome looking demons. It of course has that killer soundtrack, which I've always heard and loved from the old games, even though I didn't play them. Like, it was so good. The trailer, the gameplay, everything was so good. It makes me think I need to go back and play 2016 and Eternal, just so I can come into this like knowing what I'm doing, ready to go. I was blown away by this trailer. I think Doom: The Dark Ages looks incredible. Interesting note on this one, they very subtly slid this into the end card that it is coming to PS5. That matters because I think that even though they didn't say it, a lot of the games on this show will be doing that. But still, it's slated for 2025. Doom looks really awesome. Next up was Dragon Age. They changed the name to the Veilguard. They announced that on Twitter before. Veilguard is fine. I thought that the other name was better. Dreadwolf is a cooler name, but whatever. This trailer, though, was terrible. Made it look like a generic hero shooter. Looked awful. I was like, what is this? This was like fart too hard. You have to waddle back to the bathroom and toss out your drawers kind of bad. Like, terrible. It was so bad. But a couple days later, they showed up with like long form gameplay, showed what combat would look like, showed some of the RPG stuff, showed like decision making, and talked about customization, and that actually completely turned me. I am so stinking excited for this game now. I was not after the trailer. After 2 days in that gameplay, I am very excited. This is slated for 2024. Also no release date, but looks very, very cool. I'm super excited for this one. I wish they could have shown it a little bit better at the Xbox showcase, because I think a lot of people will be turned off by that trailer and not watch this gameplay thing they did. And that's a bummer because it looks awesome. Next up is the big one, the surprise. They got everyone pumping, which was a surprise to me because while I loved it, I didn't expect there to be a huge audience for it. But Expedition 33, I think full name is like Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Kind of a weird name, but holy cow, this is like big AAA turn-based RPG with time dodges and parries and weapon stuff. I mean, it looks so cool. The story sounds really interesting. They got Ben Starr as a voice actor for this. I mean, it's gonna be so good. This is slated for 2025. They showed gameplay. The trailer was awesome. The music was awesome. Like, I am all in on this. This game is gonna slay. This game is gonna be awesome. So yeah, it's gonna be great. Okay, the next game I want to talk about is South of Midnight. This one was kind of cool, kind of weird. This is one where they did a touch of gameplay. They did a quick little fight, and they did a little bit of climbing, jumping around, done. And then it was all cutscene from there. So a lot of people were saying, well, we got gameplay. Kind of. Yes, they showed them playing a little bit, but like, what does this game look like to play? I have no idea. Like, What does it look like on a moment to moment? Like, what are you doing in this story? No idea. I don't really feel like we got gameplay. Even though there was a tiny bit, it didn't really show what it'll be like to play the game. And that's kind of the point to me. So that kind of was a bummer. The other thing is, while I think the Louisiana bio kind of setting is super cool and unique, you don't see that a lot, I don't really jive with the stop motion animation. I know some people love that stuff, and that's great, but it just makes me feel like it's framey, right? Like it's not running like it should. I don't like it. I don't like it in old movies. I don't like it in this. It's just not my cup of tea. I think it's cool that they're going something a little artsy and that they're fully committed to it. That's great. I don't know that I'm going to play this one because of that. So that's a bummer. Once again, though, this is set for 2025. No release date, which I'm okay with no release date if it's in 2025. A year away, you don't need to have a release date nailed down, in my opinion. After that was Perfect Dark. Now, I'm going to be honest here. This is fully first-person shooter, some stealth elements, some gadgets, and then, gunplay. And the truth is, those aren't my style of games, like I said. But I do have nostalgia for Perfect Dark. And so there is a chance that I will play this one, or at least try it out, especially because it comes into Game Pass, which all of these Xbox Studio games will. Game Pass day one. So I might try it. It all looked good, the VO looked good, all that stuff, but it is a first-person shooter, and so I think even if I try it, I'll get bored quick. But I thought it looked pretty good. Next up was Fable. Now, I love Fable. I have played all of the original 3, loved them. Even the third one that a lot of people didn't like, I did. I love Fable. This trailer has the tone perfect. They're nailing that. Voicing, awesome. The kind of satirical nature, perfect. But I saw a lot of people saying, oh, they showed us gameplay. I watched it like 3 times just to make sure. There is no gameplay. There's like a little snippet of her walking, a little snippet of like an in-battle cutscene. That's it. It's all in-game footage, so it's not that I think the game won't look this good when it plays. But what is it like to play this game? What's your HUD look like? What does combat look like? What does it look like to walk in a town and talk to people? What's my morality system look like? Do I have customization options? Like, nothing was answered. There was no gameplay. So people saying that there was and it should calm all your fears, no, there was not gameplay here. So while I am excited for it and I want to play it no matter what because I'm a fan of Fable, this trailer actually was one of the worst ones to me, even though it looks cool, because they didn't show anything. Even let's just say here that was all in game, like that was the cutscenes from game. That's great. It's still not gameplay. What does it look like to play this game? And they didn't have that, and I was super disappointed. It's a 2025 window, which is fine. But I really, really wish they'd have just showed me the stinking game. Anyway, after that we had Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. This is another Souls-like, but dang, did it show well. That main character looks phenomenal. The moveset looks freaking awesome. It's fast and fluid. The parry animations were spectacular. Plus, it's a day one Game Pass, so hard to lose on that. I believe this is also a 2025 game, so pretty cool. So far, we've got a whole bunch of 2025 games with Indie slated for 2024 and Dragon Age for 2024. Dragon Age is not an Xbox first-party game, but, Indie is. Now, after that, we have Avowed. This is slated for 2024, but just like Indie, no release date. It blows my mind a little bit that in the next 6 months you're showing games that are supposed to come out in the next 6 months. The Flight Simulator and some other games were also there that were coming out this year, and we no release dates. How do you do that? Like, I heard people talking about like that's no big deal. How is that not a big deal? In 6 months you have 3+ games coming out and not one of them has a date. We need to know when we're supposed to get these. I guess Game Pass, you don't have to save your money for it. So I guess that's one thing. But I just don't understand that. We don't have any. How do we not have any? That's crazy to me. This trailer for Avowed did not show well, in my opinion. I thought it was better than the last one. The last one was way worse. This one made it better, but I was still not sold on it. I still thought that the combat lacked weight. I still thought it looked like they only showed like first person. There was little snippets of like a little third person jumping, but it looked like that was cutscene, and so I was kind of bummed about that. They didn't show like their best RPG stuff, so I was like, I don't know. But they did a deep dive as well after the show, and if you watch that, this game looks phenomenal. So once again, we have this thing where they show a trailer that is mediocre at best, really terrible at worst, but later show gameplay that make it look awesome. That tells me that they suck at doing trailers. I mean, again, Dragon Age is not Xbox first party, but still, that's pretty bad. Like, get a trailer that shows your game off, because how many people are going to be turned off of this from the trailer and not ever watch this gameplay breakdown, an interview with a developer who talks about there being third person, who talks about the RPG stuff, who talks about the customization and the weightiness of the attacks, who just show you straight up fights and dialogue options and characters. Like, that was super good and really showed the game, and I want to play that. What the trailer showed, I didn't care. So it's kind of a bummer that they had to show it that way. Again, this comes out sometime in 2024. We've heard rumors of it being like November, but Xbox, they haven't said nothing. So no idea. We'll have to wait and see. After that was AC Shadows, Assassin's Creed, but we'll talk about that here in a minute at the Ubisoft showcase. Okay, so yeah, basically Xbox had a lot of really cool games, but not as much gameplay as I would have liked. No release dates, really. A lot of people gave that a pass. I disagree. I don't think you should. I think they should have had release dates. Next up, though, we're on to the PC game showcase. I know this is getting long, but I just want to cover it all at once, so stick with me. Here we go. PC game showcase was really fun, enjoyable, but I did kind of skip through a lot of the talk and banter in between. They had some good games. A lot of them were showed at like future games or whatever, so I only have a couple here, and I'm going to hit them real quick. Last Moon is another kind of side-scrolling action RPG style game. It's a little more cutesy than what I typically like, but I still think it looks really good. Colors are really popping. Pretty cool. Tactical Beach Wizards is a really interesting tactical RPG, I think. It's hard to tell, but it definitely looks interesting. They're like coming in to these like buses in different situations. They have like line of sight. It looks like they have powers. It looks like different characters with different strengths and weaknesses. I don't know. Looks pretty interesting to me. And then the last one is Stormforge. And this is an open world survival game with a fantastic cel-shaded art style, very interesting looking mechanics, and some cool action RPG stuff, especially in the combat. I don't know how much I will get into this one. Survival games are fun, but I usually go super hard and then fall super hard off them. So we'll see, but it does look pretty cool, I thought. They have lots of games though, so if you're interested, go watch that showcase, especially now, like when it's up afterwards, you can skip through anything that's boring to you. Definitely a way to do it. Basically, last up is Ubisoft Forward. This was an interesting one. They did a great job in the way they showed Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows, but then they showed a JPEG for the Sands of Time. Like, what the heck? What is this? We already knew you were making it, so you rebooted it. Good for you, but then if you're not gonna show it, then what's the point of the JPEG? Like, stupid. Just, whatever. They're putting out DLC for Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which is cool, but I haven't gotten to play that one yet, so I'm kind of pushing that off on the back. Star Wars Outlaws, they showed really well. I think it actually looks really cool, but here's the deal. Ubisoft games come out and then just go boo. Their price drops super low, or they end up in a subscription service, so like, I don't see any reason that I'm gonna buy this and just wait, right? I'll either get it for $20 down the road, or I'll play it in Game Pass or something. So it looks cool, but not enough for me personally to go buy it, though this one has a release date of August 30th, so that's pretty cool. Then they showed Assassin's Creed Shadows. I actually thought this looks really good, especially the stealth gameplay. I'm not as much of a fan in the combat. I think some people will love that. It's just too slow to me. I much prefer a faster based combat. I still like it technical, but faster is more my speed. But the stealth stuff looks awesome. Going underwater and having a little reed to breathe and sneaking up behind people, super dope. So I'm very interested what it would be like to play this. We haven't seen any like what are the RPG elements, assuming they have them, which I believe they will, but like what does that actually look like in this game? And everything they've said is definitely promising. This one's supposed to come out November 15th, I believe, and I think it looks pretty good. But again, it's a Ubisoft game and will probably go down in price in the future, and I will get it if I don't have other stuff to play, but the truth is there's some pretty awesome stuff coming out. After that, we had the Dragon Age showcase, which I already talked about, and then we had a release date trailer for Visions of Mana. I grew up playing the Mana games. I love the Mana games, well, not all of them, but Secret of Mana was one of my favorites on the Super Nintendo, and Trials of Mana reboot was really fun. I'm super into this. So Visions of Mana looks great. The class system looks super cool. The colors are vibrant and lively. Characters look great. I think it's going to be awesome. And it comes out August 29th. So go look up that trailer if you're interested, but that's going to be super cool. Great little JRPG, probably like 30, 40 hours. I'm totally sold. I think it looks great. Here pretty soon, we're going to talk about kind of narrowing this down into what's coming out this year, the rest of the year, and what we're excited about. But as far as those showcases went, I actually thought they were pretty good. There's something in almost every single one that I'm interested in, and some really, really incredible looking games there. So let me know down in the comments what you thought. What showed up for you? Was there any amazing games that I missed? Or ones that I liked that you thought looked like garbage? Let me know down below. Make sure you like this button. Make sure you hit the like button. That helps me out a ton, means a lot to me. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button. And don't forget that little bell at the end. Then you'll know every time a video comes out and you can be there right away. You guys are awesome. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you learned something, maybe something you didn't see or forgot about. And let's just enjoy gaming. There's too much garbage out there already in this world. There's too much trash. And too many people complaining with games and stuff. Like, we can like and dislike things, but let's just enjoy it and enjoy each other's company as we do it, yeah? All right. Well, once again, thank you so much for watching, and good hunting.